Livy. I love her very much. I just was not enough. In the long run, sorry, my phone keeps going in and out. Sorry about that, babe. In the long run, um, no matter who I married, who I dated, who my friends were, what clothes I liked, the music I listened to, wasn't good enough. It was nag, nag, nag. And then, none of that started, though. I can tell you, Liv, none of that started until after Destry died. After Destry died, everything about life and how it was at home, how people in our family treated each other, it all changed. It all changed. And then when my mom, your grandma, and my dad got a divorce, and Gary came into the picture. Gary didn't like me from the get-go. He was very verbally mean to me. I went from living in a home where I never heard a cuss word. I never heard anything bad or obscene. And every other word, as you remember probably, was GD or the F word out of Gary's mouth. Now, my father never talked like that. My mother never talked like that. I was raised, Libby, in church. I was raised in a home where there was love. And then when Destry died, all that started changing. And then, it's only 4 years from 4 or 5 years actually from the time Destry died to where my mom and dad got a divorce. We quit going to church. Gary became my stepdad. My life changed for the worse. I know about nagging. Um, Mom used to always tell me that Gary didn't like what I talked about. Gary didn't like it when I was in the room. And then when I was 19, Mom and Gary kicked me out. And, I never even went back to spend the night with Mom again. Never spent one night. And Gretchen and them and your mom were always welcome back, but I never was. Gary didn't like me. And when I would go visit Mom every day, because I wanted somebody. I wanted to know somebody cared. And I would drive all the way from Franklin, Springboro, you name it, to Middletown every day, Monday through Friday. And I had a certain time I was allowed to visit. Yet you have to understand this, Liv. I had a certain time, I could visit with Mom while she was on the phone with all of her other friends, all of her more important things. A lot of the time, those more important things were your mom and Aunt Gretchen. But I had to be gone by the time Gary came home. That went on for years. For years. Being told that I talked about stupid things. That my interests were stupid. And Libby, I know about nagging. And I know how hurtful it is. I used to pray at night, and I'm telling you this all for reasons. It's not for pity parties. I used to pray at night that God would make it to where I didn't love Mom anymore. And as bad as Mom's nagging was, my father who's still alive, my father's was even worse. Because it wasn't nagging, it was criticism. I know about it, Libby. I know all about it. Nagging is destructive. Criticism is destructive. And if you get nagged a lot, I'm sorry. I apologize on behalf of your mom. Because more than likely, since Mom was doing it to me, she was doing it to your mom. She was probably doing it to Aunt Gretchen too. I remember it from me because it was so, it destroyed me so profoundly. And I'm not saying that Graham Gale didn't love me. I'm saying that people who nag on their parents, or people who are constantly criticizing their kids, the nagging parents and parents who are criticizing their kids, odds are those parents aren't happy. They're not there's something in their self that's not happy. I don't know. I will tell you this. Your mom has always said that her dream profession would be to be an actress. I can tell you, your mom would make a great one. um, I don't think she's acting in the fact that she loves you and Maria and Trey and your dad. But Livy, after Destry died, our family changed. And I'm sorry that you are possibly being nagged. I know how it makes you feel. It makes you feel not enough, not good enough, not loved, not anything. It makes you feel like dirt. At least it did me. I know what that feels like. Livy, I'm not like your mom, and I'm not like Aunt Gretchen, and I'm definitely not like my like your grandma. I got made fun of by my mom and by Gary. A lot of the time, they would call me Little Imogene, or they'd call me Imogene. And there's a reason for that. My grandmother, on my father's side's name was Imogene. And they didn't always like the way she thought, or the way that she lived, or anything like that. And I'm a lot like my grandma on my dad's side. I'm a whole lot like her. And I used to take that as a down put, or a put down, and a degrade. But I want to tell you something, it's not. My grandma was a very strong woman. My grandfather, my dad's father, was one of the most gentle but strong people you could ever meet in your life. And there obviously was something wonderful about my grandma, because he was married to her for 68 years. He married her. He loved her. They were a team. I see a lot of my grandpa in Philip, actually. Philip has a lot of wonderful qualities. He's very compassionate. He's very gentle. He's very patient. But I know about that nagging, Livy. I know about it. That nagging made a horrible relationship between Graham Gale and me. Made me not want to love her anymore. Made me not want to be around her anymore. And that's wrong, because I miss her now. When I talk about missing mom, okay, I miss the mom I had before Destry died. I miss the mom that prayed over me, you, and your sisters, and that took us to church and worked with us on Bible verses, and that truly lived a Christian life. And I realized that mom came back to the Lord before she died. But those 26 or 27 years that mom was away from the Lord, and so very critical on me, and so very different, and lived such a very different life, they affected me. I went from being the little girl who was loved and just, defended and loved life, had a great life, living out in the country, had lots of animals, had a great life. For many years, I went to having a life that I would refer to as hell. Having a stepdad that cussed at me, having a stepdad that abused me. When you might not know about this, but when Graham Gale was dying, and she was just weeks away from dying, Gary Finkel busted in my apartment there in West Carrollton. John and I were still married, or still living together. We weren't married. We were going through the divorce process, but he busted in my apartment and started screaming and cussing out at John said some bill collector called him on John and I's behalf. Still don't know what he was talking about. But he shoved John down on the couch, was screaming at him, and I was in the bathroom, and I came out of the bathroom, and I was like, what the devil is going on, and Gary turned his tongue on me. For the first time in my life, I stood up for myself to Gary Finkel, to his face. And I can proudly tell you, Olivia, I backed that man out my front door. All them years of him calling my grandma names and my dad names and me names came out in me. He was staring at me face to face, and I kept walking and shoving him toward my front door, telling him I might be like Imogene, and my grandma's not bad, and my dad. And it all came out on me. And I remember I took that final shove, and I actually got him out my front door. And he stood there on my porch, and he told me, "You'll never see your mother alive again." All those years I'd fought to see Mom and put up with that crap and that nagging and that hurting. And you know what? It didn't even hurt me when he said that, Livy. It didn't hurt me then. I made up my mind then I wasn't going to be there when Mom passed away. Didn't want to be around it. Didn't want to be fake. All that nagging and that unapproval and that criticism had mounted up on me. I don't want nagging to do that to you, Olivia. I don't want it to. Don't let it. You are beautiful. You are smart. And if anything, you're the answer to my prayer. You are. You always have been. It kills me to think that somebody's nagging on you. I know what it does. I love you, Olivia Rose Michelle. I love you so much. I love you more than you'll ever imagine. You are a blessing. You are beautiful. You are smart. You're not like anybody else on the planet. You're awesome. You've always marched to the beat of your own drum. And that, my beautiful niece, is a blessing. It's a blessing. May not feel like it sometimes, but it is. It's a blessing. Keep marching to that drum. You are one in a million. You are one in a million. Don't change. No matter what they nag at you about, don't change. You're gorgeous, you're smart, you're funny. And just maybe you're the answer to my prayer. Because you sure have changed my life. I wanted to die before you were born, Livy. I was so different. I was. You gave me a reason to smile and to laugh. I love you. I love you so much. Now I've got to figure out how to save this.